Good morning. So I'm coming on today because I was just sitting here thinking to myself about all the ways in which I had to deprogram my mind from my failures, right? And from internalizing these experiences that didn't work out, right? Mistakes that I've made, failures, right? Things like that. And separating it from my worth or my capability, right? And I think one of the things that's so interesting about this whole, what is it, Sharon Moore, is that we do this instinctively, right? Collectively, socially, communally, when it comes to men and their mistakes, right? We automatically say, let's separate this one experience, even if there's been a pattern, right, of deviance, right? Look at the case with Diddy, and we say, this doesn't define him. Whereas with women, right, as a woman, we don't get those same opportunities, right? Our mistakes are stamped and it is in the book to be remembered forever and ever. And so I just was sitting here thinking about this, and in that, right, I think about the ways in which we talk a lot about stereotypes, and we talk a lot about debunking the ways in which men are seen, the projections that we have of them, and all these different things. But what we don't realize is that our collective affirmation of men is to really affirm this behavior, right? That is criminal, that is violent, right? We have this expectation, this normalcy, right, of men and, infidelity, right? And being disingenuous and being all these things. And there's a sense of normalcy for that, right? We justify it. And I just think that's interesting because I think on one end, this is probably one of the biggest contradictions I think about patriarchy. I bought the book Patriarchal Blues. I look forward to kind of reading that and looking into it. It's about black men, and it's about a black man and his reflections of patriarchy from a black male's perspective. And I think he's going to be kind of touching on how patriarchy in some ways maybe imprisons him or whatever. But I look forward to learning about it. And I think just where we are currently right now, especially in terms of, black culture, and I'll say black culture because, these are black men that have typically, that have recently made the news and, are sweeping the airways, right, in commentary. But I do think we should acknowledge the fact that I think as women, in the way we see women, the way we treat women, women have to be absolutely perfect, upstanding all the way through. Women don't get do-overs, right? But men can be, repetitively, dishonest, right? Violent, right? We have this normalcy around infidelity. Like, oh, it's just bound to happen in a relationship. That's just what men do. And in her book, To Raise a Boy, I remember reading this, she talks about, just kind of the contradictions of boys will be boys and how that sets men up to create or to perpetuate, right, continuous harm. And at the same time, we want to argue that, it's not an isolated event and we still seek to protect men.